everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're doing the very long-awaited me reacting to your Miraculous Ladybug Unpopular Opinions. I think it was several months ago now, I think actually it might have been last year, when I asked in a community post, hey, could you give me your unpopular Miraculous Ladybug opinions so I can do a video reacting to them, discussing them, whatever with them. However, we started getting episodes and just other news in general, and it's just made it really difficult for me to sit down and film. Like, would you believe it, at the end of each month, the last week of each month, I make a video schedule for the entire next month. Ever since I started doing that, which was like about a year ago, ever since I started doing that, not once has it gone to schedule because we get an episode every day or whatever. So today I am filming this before Thematic, but I don't know if you will see it before Thematic. So we'll see what happens. We'll just go for it. However, just a couple of things before we start. First of all, there are a lot of opinions. I physically cannot react to them all, so I've picked the ones that I think are going to generate the most conversation out of me and out of the rest of you in the comments. So thank you very much to everyone who left a comment. I've picked 39 comments to react to. Some are quite short, some are a bit longer, explaining themselves, which is totally fine. So I'm going to read them out, or you can look at the screen. I know not everyone watches the screen when they watch YouTube videos, so I'll read them out before I discuss them. But because I've picked 39, I'm not sure we're going to do it all in one video, so we're probably definitely going to do 2 parts, and depending how long I yap for, maybe even 3 parts. And the next thing is, I would just like to remind everyone to be nice in the comments. It is perfectly okay if you disagree with the opinion I'm discussing, and it's also perfectly okay if you disagree with how I react to it, whether I agree with them, whether I disagree with them. But just, as always, keep it nice in the comments. Besties don't always agree with each other, but besties always respect each other's opinions. You absolutely don't have to agree with me or the original comment on the screen. Just be nice in how you express yourself. And then the last thing, so the post is still up where I asked the unpopular opinions, so you can go through and find out who said what. However, for the sake of this video, I have gone through and cropped out everyone's username and profile picture. I didn't think everyone would be comfortable having their name in it. Some people were fine with it, some people weren't, but I've just cropped everyone's off. So if you find an opinion that you so egregiously disagree with that you feel the need to go back to that community post and then bully that person in the replies, I think going to all that effort is going to say more about you than it will about the person who left that opinion. At the end of the day, this is a TV show made for 8 to 10-year-olds. It does not require this much arguing. It's fine to disagree. You don't need to bully people over it. So with that being said, let's get started, and I'm going to try not to yap too much and remind myself this isn't a meme review. So, the first one. Miraculous would have been way better if it was a show for teenagers. Honestly, whilst I definitely would be interested to see how that would have gone, because I do believe originally Miraculous was meant to be for teenagers. Like, if you've seen clips of the PV version, there's explosions and stuff, and it does look a lot darker. It's not that dark, but in comparison to what we've got, it's a lot darker. But I believe the producers and like the studio executives were like, teenagers won't watch this. But then half of the audience is just like, well, I'm over the age of 20 and I'm still watching it. But I don't necessarily think it would be better if it was for teenagers. I think it would be more mature and they could explore more mature themes, things that are a bit darker. But I don't necessarily think it would be better if it's for teenagers. When you're writing for children, and I think this is like a common misconception people have, is that I feel like a lot of people think you don't need to put in as much effort because they're a child. And like, people think, oh well, they don't think as much about whatever as a teenager or an adult would. When that's not the case, children are super intelligent. When you're writing for them, you shouldn't be like writing down to them. You should be writing on their level, but don't write down to them in like a condescending way. So in a way, I do disagree with this comment. I'm more like, Miraculous would have been way better if it had more consistently good writing. Like, overall, I think season 2 and season 4 were pretty consistent. Don't get me wrong, they weren't perfect seasons, but throughout, I think the writing was pretty good. Season 1 and season 3 are okay. Season 5 leaves a lot to be desired, and at the minute I've only seen 4 season 6 episodes. At the minute things are going okay, I think. I don't hate it. It's not as bad as season 5, but the bar is also in hell, so. But I do think it would be interesting to see if it was for teenagers, but I don't necessarily think it would be better if it was for teenagers. It would just be different, and it being better would rely on how good the actual writing was. Alright, the next one. I swear with how much the show loves redeeming characters apart from Chloe, someday Lila will get her own redemption. I agree. Obviously, I guess it's less of an opinion and more of a theory, but once we got the episode Time Tagger, of course, when we found out, well, it's not confirmed that Lila's going to be the Hawkmoth of the future, but I thought it was pretty obvious it was going to be her with how she was in that episode and stuff, with being weird with Chris. That was a weird scene. Anyway. But I was just like, yeah, absolutely. I feel at the end of the day, since Ladybug now in season 5, she seems, obviously I don't know yet, I'm filming this before Felix has really had an appearance. I know he was in that initial scene in Revelator, but he didn't say or do anything, so I don't really know exactly how Marinette is feeling towards Felix at the minute. She hasn't said anything to him, that we haven't had any on-screen interaction between them yet, so I don't know how she's feeling. But since the Peacock Miraculous was used by Mayura for bad reasons, but now Felix is using it for good, I feel like if Marinette could redeem Lila, she may give her the Butterfly Miraculous to use for good, but also to keep it safe. But also at the same time, if, let's say for example, if we are getting these rumoured 14 seasons, if Lila's gonna spend, like Gabriel, 5 seasons, so she's finished at the end of season 10, I actually really would like Adrien to be the next villain. If we're carrying on, I'm like, you gotta make, like, they've had loads of like morally grey characters becoming evil, or straight up evil characters becoming more evil, so like Lila. I would like it to go the other way, where you have a good character who turns completely evil, so like Adrien or Alia or someone like that, because they start off good but then become evil. Whereas Gabriel, he was like not the greatest person but then got worse, and Lila started as a terrible person who got worse. So I'd like them to do the other way, where it's good to evil. And then maybe back again, but I want to see someone have like a full arc where they're like Adrien, Sunshine Boy, but he's just like, no, I've had enough. Let's go. Alright, next one. The magic system is generally one of the most interesting parts of the show, and it infuriates me how the writers keep mishandling it with constant inconsistencies and a massive power imbalance between the different Miraculouses. And I feel I should focus more on the Miraculous and their applications. Most of them are grossly misused and it's maddening. I genuinely think if this magic system was copy and pasted into a better writer's room that could squeeze out the most potential out of it, would go down in history as one of the most iconic and memorable magic systems ever, up there with the likes of Avatar's bending system. Agree for the most part. Personally, the magic system isn't why I watch the show. I'm here for the love square, but I do think the magic system is pretty interesting, and the base premise of the magic system in Miraculous, I think it's good. When you're explained it in Origins, what you see in season 1, I think it's really good. But I definitely think they do mishandle it with constant inconsistencies all the time, mainly around the Peacock Miraculous. I know Thomas is always like, oh, all the clues for explaining it are in the show. And I'm like, yeah, you're correct, they all are there. Except most of those clues contradict each other. And if you have to go on Twitter and clarify yourself, then you're not making it clear enough about how it's actually supposed to be used and the limits of it and stuff like that in the show. Like, again, it's the writing. However, I don't mind there being power imbalances. To me, I've always thought, and I think I'm incorrect, is that in the Miracle Box, in Master Fu's Miracle Box, the two in the middle, which are Ladybug and Cat Noir, are the most powerful, and then in the immediate circle around it, so Bee, Fox, Turtle, Butterfly and Peacock were the next most powerful, and then the ones in the drawers underneath, the next most powerful. So Ladybug and Cat Noir, like going from top to bottom. However, I view the Rabbit Miraculous and the Snake Miraculous as arguably more powerful than Ladybug and Cat Noir, and they're on like the bottom tier, so I don't know, that's how I viewed it at the start of the show, like during season 2 and stuff, but obviously we didn't know about the Snake and Rabbit Miraculous and what they could do then, so obviously I was incorrect. So I don't mind there being a power imbalance, having some heroes who are more powerful. I think that's like normal to have, but there's definitely a lot of inconsistencies, and I definitely do agree if it was put in a better writer's room, it would be a lot better. Although this comment ends with talking about Avatar. I actually finally recently watched Avatar The Last Airbender. I was bullied into it by one of my friends and moderators. I really enjoyed it, it was good, and I've been thinking of making a video about it. Would anybody be interested in that? Just like one video, what I thought of the characters and the plot and the relationships and stuff like that. Let me know if you want to. Okay, next comment. Miraculous has a good premise with a lot of potential, but it's constantly being wasted because it doesn't deliver. At this point, it feels like it's being milked. As an aside, these issues are what make it a great sandbox for fanfiction. It's very similar to the previous comment, and I have to agree for it. Like, I love the premise of Miraculous, these two heroes, who one of them is in love with the other outside of the masks, but he thinks she's just a friend, but then within the masks he's in love with her, but she thinks he's annoying. I love the premise of Miraculous, and then whatever Gabriel was doing in the first season with Emily. I love the base premise of Miraculous. I think, as TV shows go, it has one of the best concrete, like, foundations, has really good foundations to start off with. Like, where we are at the show at the minute, I have no idea why Lila is doing what she's doing. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, she's doing it because she hates Marinette. And whilst that definitely does seem to be fueling what's going on, because it seems that a lot of the people being akumatized are tied to Marinette in some way. Like in the Illustrator, Maya is akumatized. There is a lot of events leading up to it, but the final one is that Marinette upsets Maya, which gets her akumatized. In Danny Cop, Marinette's actions make Sabrina upset, which makes Roger upset, which is why he gets akumatized. And of course in Revelator, they use their powers against Vincent, which exposes him and he gets akumatized. So a lot of the akumas so far that we've seen do seem to be Marinette's fault. And I know it's technically her fault, don't get me wrong, but like I don't feel like she's going out of her way to upset people. I don't view Marinette as a bad person. It's just kind of like things happen and it just happens to have her involved with it rather than her going out of her way and maliciously hurting people, you know what I mean? However, I don't particularly feel assuming Lila's motivation is she really doesn't like Marinette and she's doing all of this for that. To me, that's not a good enough motivation for her, whereas Gabriel's motivation with his wife kind of being dead after creating Adrien with the Peacock Miraculous, he always had a solid motivation. The foundations of Miraculous are great, however, agree, has a great premise, loads of potential, but just some of the times it just does not deliver. And the show being milked is something I am worried about for sure. If you didn't see the small video I made about Miraculous maybe having 14 seasons, I said in that video, and I've said in other videos where we discussed how long Miraculous might go on for, is theoretically, I don't care how many seasons we get. If they want to do 50 seasons of Miraculous, then let's do it. But I only want that many seasons of Miraculous if every single episode is gonna propel the plot forward, develop characters, is actually going to be worthwhile, basically. Like, I think it was so one of my top commenters is this person called Sue Nicole. Always love Sue's comments, and Sue leaves me the longest essays in the form of comments that you have ever seen in your life in a YouTube comment section. Love them, they have some great ideas. But I think the other day I was replying to comments under the either the Revelator analysis or my video analysing Gabriel's character and how it was written, and they said something that in Miraculous the characters don't move the plot forward, but the plot moves the characters forward. And that shouldn't be happening. Like, that's exactly what is happening. They hit the nail on the head. But the character should be moving forward the plot. And the only character who really does move forward the plot is Felix, who's only like in 5 episodes a season. He's not the main character. He's a side character. Why is he moving it forward? It doesn't make sense. But anyway, Miraculous fanfiction is great. I don't read a great deal of it at the minute. I'm on a Batman fanfiction binge. But I do think a lot of fanfiction is great. I know Thomas always goes on a rant about it. He's just like, oh, the people who write fanfiction don't have like the same restraints we do in the writer's room. And I've read fanfictions from Miraculous that look at the exact same restraints the writers have and still pull off better stuff, so I don't know what he's talking about at this point. Next one. Alex/Bunnix is one of the best characters in the show and she doesn't get enough screen time. Like, I get why it's best if she stays hidden with the plot they have now, but she's too iconic not to be in more episodes. I'm not sure if I agree with that she's one of the best characters in the show, purely because it's not that I dislike her, but she hasn't really had enough screen time since the start of the show for me to be like, yeah, she's one of the best characters. Like, she doesn't get a lot of writing, so I'm not actually sure she's one of the best characters. I like her, don't get me wrong, and I wish she was in the show more. She's a lot more interesting, some of the other characters. Although honestly, it annoys me no end. Why in multiplication, Alex's dad went to the school and was like, yeah, this is the reason Alex was given the rabbit miraculous, it's too dangerous. Just tell everyone she transferred to a new school or that she's ill and has to have a couple of months off. Why did you tell everyone that? He put her in such immense danger doing that. ensuring she can now never come home and live a semblance of normal life. I'm still confused by that decision. Why would you do that? But I do really like it. I would love to see her wherever it is that she has been, because I don't know. Right, next one. I think that Thomas simply sees things we don't, or at least differently than we do, and just needs a bit more proper execution. I mean, I definitely agree, he definitely does see things differently than the rest of us. And I'm not sure how, other than possibly through delusion. I get on one level wanting to defend something you've written and something you've worked hard on, because I would do the same. However, also at the same time, I think I would have more respect for other people as writers when they get like this, is if they could admit when something wasn't all that great, which is also what I do. Like, I would only defend my writing if I felt like someone was being unjustly harsh. Like the amount of people who, not even about my writing, so on TikTok I post videos about all the books I read, because I read a lot of books. I'll get people who are like, oh yeah, I don't really like this book that you loved. And I was like, oh, what do you like about it? It's like, oh, I only read 20 pages. And I'm like, well, maybe you should have read the rest before you could say you didn't like it or whatever. So stuff like that I feel like is worth defending. Like if someone only watched 2 episodes of Miraculous and then said the whole show was trashed, I'd be like, well, maybe you should watch more of it before you reach that opinion. Like at the very least, even when I say things about the show I don't like, I've seen the entire thing so far, so it's a bit weird for that. But for example, when the episode Simple Man came out, it's definitely one of the weakest episodes of season 4. I went into that episode knowing it was going to be like a fun filler episode, because all the episodes before Simple Man were all quite big deal. You had Optigami and Senti Bubbler, Glaciator 2, Wishmaker. Like, we needed a break from so many things going on. Rocketeer was a big one as well. So I was fully expecting a fun filler episode, but many people didn't like it. I think that's fine, you don't have to like it. But then Thomas went on this massive tirade on Twitter talking about all these things people don't understand, saying like, oh, it had a load of meta references about animation and stuff like that. And I'm like, Thomas, the show is for 8-year-olds. How are they going to understand meta jokes about animation? They're not, because they're 8. Like, I knew he was just doing everything he could to defend it, and I would have had more respect for him if he was like, yeah, it wasn't that good, but it was just like a fun for that episode after a load of heavy event. But I just overall would have had more respect for him as a writer if he'd been like, yeah, it wasn't that great. It just meant to be a fun filler episode after all the traumatic events. But I see where you're coming from. Like, he can't take feedback on from anyone. And I think it's so important to not necessarily do everything the fans of the show say, because they don't know what's in the pipeline and all the other things you got planned. But at the very least, to take on their feedback I think is extremely important. And just to ignore everyone and basically imply they're stupid is just beyond silly of him to do. I was going to use a stronger word, but I don't want to be rude, so let's just call him silly.
Are we filming? Are you recording?
Yes.
Hello! Hey! Whoa, whoa!
I will just edit it out.
Oh, let's put on a blooper.
A blooper.
Not bloody Discord, man. Hello, besties. Might buy a new car today.
What? You might not be buying a car today.
But I will.
What do you think of this? I'm reacting to these unpopular opinions. Read it out.
I think that Thomas simply sees things we don't, or at least differently than we do. He just needs a little bit more proper. As in death. No,
execution as in pulling it off and not executing people.
Alright.
What do you think of the opinion?
They're entitled to it.
Okay.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, whether it's wrong.
You're looking into the camera, they can't even see your eyes. You need to crouch down. No, not go in, just crouch.
I got a bad back.
No.
Right.
No.
Ma! Yes, for that, Discord.
Ow. Alright, next one. Chloe's redemption was a failed one from the start. She was never given a proper chance to reflect on her actions. Absolutely agree. I have said multiple times before that I don't care if Chloe gets a redemption arc. Make a good, make a bad, I don't care what they do, as long as whatever they do is they make it good writing. Like, for example, what happened in Revolution, where she becomes the mayor, was beyond stupid. stupid, didn't even make complete sense. What are they doing? However, I definitely agree with this, and I think the problem lies in the way redemptions are done in Miraculous. So I would think in most films, TV shows, books, video games, and also in real life, people develop as a character, whether that is a redemption or something else, over a period of time. They have an arc of development. It doesn't happen like that. However, in Miraculous, I don't know if this is just what Thomas personally believes or what the writers at large largely believe, is that it has to happen immediately. For example, Sabrina, even though she's been just as horrible to Marinette, she has a moment of redemption in one episode in season 5, and from then on, she's seen as a good character. Felix has his redemption moment, led on the rooftop in emotion, crying over having to destroy Red Moon, and he becomes a good character. That's how redemptions in Miraculous work. They don't have an arc, they have a redemption moment. And because Chloe isn't willing to change, like, immediately, she doesn't get her redemption. However, that's not how life works. Making a change like that, especially for someone like Chloe, is gonna take a while. For example, we mentioned before Avatar: The Last Airbender, Zuko, who starts off as a evil character, one of the antagonists, but he gets redeemed. It happens over the course, really, of most of the first 2 seasons and part of the last season. It takes a while for someone to change, whether that's change for good, change for bad, whatever. It takes a while for someone to change. It's very, very rare most people can make a change in their life and have that change be a sustained one and do it immediately. However, there is a fundamental disconnect with Miraculous because no one has a redemption arc. They have a redemption moment. Just one. They either change in that moment or they are lost to being evil for the rest of the show. And it's bizarre. So yes, I agree. She was never given a proper chance to reflect on her actions. I agree. So, like I said, I don't care what they do with her, redeem her or don't. Just make whatever you write for her. Actually makes sense. Because the Mare plotline was stupid. Absolutely stupid. Next one. It wouldn't have been possible for Adrien to be in the final battle. He's a sentient monster and Monarch would have controlled him with his ring and it would have led to Cat Blank. Disagree. Because everyone saying, including Thomas, that it would lead to Cat Blank or even Ephemeral is forgetting one key thing, is that Gabriel, in those 2 episodes, it leads to those Akumas because, hello Cat, he knows Cat Noir is Adrien. And could you stop? Thank you. And in Recreation or Confirmation, he is unaware that his son is Cat Noir. He dies without knowing in our timeline, without knowing he's Cat Noir. It would only happen had he found out. So let's say Adrien as Cat Noir was there to fight a Recreation. Let's say he enters the house as Cat Noir, he fights as Cat Noir, and at the end of the battle he manages to, let's say, paralyze Ladybug, take off her earrings. Adrien's like, oh my god, it's Marinette, she's my girlfriend. Even if she wasn't my girlfriend, that's still Ladybug, what are you doing? He fights Gabriel, but then he also paralyzes Adrien, he removes Adrien's Miraculous, then Gabriel's like, oh my god, what have I done? It would only result in Cat Blank if Gabriel knew that Cat Noir was his son. Because why would he try to control him with his amok if he didn't know that Cat Noir was his son? Because he doesn't know. So why would it result in Cat Blank? If he did, then yeah, I agree, but he doesn't. Cat Blank and Ephemeral happened because Gabriel found out that Adrien was Cat Noir. Not because Cat Noir was there to fight him. That didn't happen in Heroes Day. Cat Noir was there to fight Hawk Daddy in Heroes Day. It didn't happen then. Because he didn't know. But he does in Cat Blank and Ephemeral. And in Confirmation and Recreation, he didn't know. So why would that have happened? Because it wouldn't have. So this one has 2. Let's read one, then we'll do the other one. Luka kind of has nothing to him as a character. Like, I love him, but we really don't know anything about him other than he likes music and loves Marinette. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't remember anything. Like, the writers keep teasing the idea of making him interesting, like him knowing Ladybug and Cat Noir's identities, but never actually ends up going anywhere interesting. And I agree pretty much with everything they said. Like this person said, they do really like Luka. I really like Luka. I think he's absolutely lovely. But he is a bit meh. Honestly, I think one of Luka's best episodes was Truth, about his dad breaking up with Marinette, things like that, because it actually added to his character. But since then, we haven't really got anything. We know he's been away training to be a guardian, but other than seeing him in the outfit and fighting on the beach in, I think it was in Recreation, we haven't seen anything else. So I would love for him to get more screen time and more development as a result. because he does seem pretty important, and I do really like Luka. I think he's wonderful. And also Thomas said recently he might be getting another love interest, obviously not Marinette, but someone else entirely. I don't know if it's like an existing character, like Sublime for example, or a completely brand new character, we don't know yet. But yeah, definitely, like, I feel like it goes nowhere. Like, for example, Wishmaker. Wishmaker not only is one of the best episodes of season 4, but I think one of the best episodes of the entire show so far. And the way Luka found out, I thought it was done amazing. I loved that reveal, well, both reveal scenes in Wishmaker. Thought it was great. But then the follow-up, there really isn't much follow-up. Like, a lot of people, when they watch Ephemeral, which is after, so Wishmaker was 18, Ephemeral is 22, they're like, oh my god, does Marinette know that Luka knows she's Ladybug? Because she sent him that text. And to me, I've always been like, no, I just think she trusted Luka. Why she didn't text Alia in that moment, I don't know, but I think it's because he needed the second chance thing. Although, I'm assuming Alia could have told Sass to do the second chance, I don't know. Unsure, but I think Marinette was just like, I hope Luka knows, go on. I hope he just gets the hint and stops the wish from happening. But other than in the episode Migration, there really isn't much to it. Like, I really enjoyed in that episode how he manages to split up Adrien and Marinette so they can both transform, like split them away from the others so they can both transform and fight Bob Roth. I liked it. But also at the same time, like, he then leaves in that episode. And like, he doesn't, like, there's no follow through. Wishmaker was great on its own, but the follow through from what he learns is not only terrible, but also non-existent. So, so I would like him to have more. I like him just a bit more. That's a lot of the problem I have with the show at the minute. And it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of sad Chloe isn't there. Part of me is like, I kind of don't want her back because I'd be worried about what they would do with her writing. But is at the minute, pretty much everyone in the class is all really nice to each other, which is lovely to have as a friend group in real life. You all get on really well, you'll have a great time together. However, as a viewer of a TV show, that is so boring to watch. Like, Luka is lovely. This is boring, do something interesting. Just everyone being so nice to each other is really nice in real life. But this is a TV show, I'm here for some drama. And then the second one, I genuinely prefer the characterization of Adrien in the movie rather than in the show. It makes more sense for him to still be grieving his mother rather than already having been moved on, especially since it's only been a year since she disappeared. I've also seen people say that he was a jerk for calling Marinette weird, and I'm sorry to break it to you, but she is. I don't know how much of an unpopular opinion this is, but I saw a few comments on TikTok about it. Personally, I don't think, I'm assuming they're referring to Adrien calling Marinette weird in Origins, I think. And honestly, the way he does it, I don't particularly felt like he was trying to be mean to her by saying that. I just felt like, oh, she is weird. I usually, when someone describes me as weird, I'm like, oh, thanks. Unless they mean it in a horrible way, which some people do, and then I'm like, okay, that wasn't very nice of you. But most of the time I'm like, yeah, thank you. I think he meant it in a nice way, that Marinette was weird in that he'd never met anyone like her before. Which wouldn't be all that hard to achieve since he doesn't know anybody. But back to the first part about the characterization of Adrien in the movie. Yes, absolutely loved it. Adrien has watched his mum basically slowly dying over the course of his life, as we saw in Wet Papas. She has been ill for a very, very long time. I would assume all of Adrien's memories of his mum that he still has would be her in some sort of sickness, when she's bedbound, in a wheelchair, coughing like Natalie did, which is why he got so worried when she started doing that in season 3. So I would imagine most of his memories of his mum are like that, and then just suddenly disappears. I can get Adrien's want to go to school, get out of the house where he spent so much time with her and all those memories. I can get that, but he does seem really happy all the time in the show. He never really seems to mention it, even in the episode, for example, Gorizilla, where he's desperate to watch this film and he sneaks out to the cinema, and then his dad finally caves and they watch it that night together. He seems fine with it. And I'm like, no. So I do like how he's actually grieving in the film. I thought that was much better, but honestly overall I think the film did a lot of things better. And now I'm worried that the film has been delayed, the sequel. Oh my god, the first one was so good, I have to see the next one. Jeremy, where is it? And because I have yapped for so long, we're only going to do one more. So after the season 3 finale, it would have made sense to make Chloe the future Hawkmoth instead of Lila. Lila isn't necessary. I see where you're coming from, but I also disagree. I think Lila is a much better villain think Chloe, like to me, Chloe has always been like the Draco Malfoy of Miraculous, where her drama and her motivations were always rather petty, whereas Lila seems to have a higher goal. Although what Lila's higher goal is, I don't know. Don't know what she wants, no idea. But Chloe, I think she'd just be doing it out of spite, because that's just the kind of person she is so far that we've seen. So whilst I can understand not wanting to add too many characters to the mix, I think Lila is a far better villain than Chloe is. I feel like in terms of Chloe's evilness, it comes across with the way it's been written as quite two-dimensional. I think there's more to it that they just don't want to explore, is that like everyone talks about online, they seem to be really understanding that Felix is the way he is because he's been abused by his dad, and that probably is why Felix is the way he is. But Chloe's also been abused by her mum, but no one is willing to really see that about her. So I think there is more to Chloe and a lot more they could explore if they choose to bring her back. But I think with just the way these seem set on writing her, I don't think she would have been a very satisfying villain, unfortunately. So that was it for the first part of reacting to your Miraculous Ladybug Unpopular Opinions. Of course, I would love to know what you think of this, but definitely under this video, like all of them, but definitely under this one, please be respectful with your opinions. It's fine if you disagree with these people, it's fine if you disagree with me, just be nice about it. So I'd love to know what you think, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!